Rotty stinking rotty dilly.
Wagwan YouTube, what you saying? It is I, Diligent Fingers, and welcome back to another video. Right now you're going to get into a track breakdown video taken from my Motion Gang Members Club, which is a Patreon style membership service that I set up back in January. If you want to join the Members Club and get these videos as soon as they come out, just go to www.diligentfingers.uk, go to memberships, pick tier 2 and you'll be able to get exclusive monthly tracks and track breakdown videos like this, plus merch like what I'm wearing now. But until then, enjoy the video. Yes, Wagwan gang, what we saying? Hope everybody is blessed and that. I will apologize now in case you might hear my phone whilst I'm recording. I am expecting a phone call from somebody or a text message and that. So yeah, but I hope everyone is blessed. Welcome back to another breakdown and that. I made a point of actually doing this one, Upset. I don't think I've actually done it already and that. Let me just no, I don't think I've actually done it already. Let me just double check. Sorry. I just want to make sure that I've not actually done Upset as one of the track breakdowns, because if I have, then I'm gonna have to do another one, innit? No. Cool. We're good. We're all good then, basically. And I'm gonna leave this in because this is how it gets sometimes. And but yeah, no, I purposely picked this one for this month because it was literally a year ago that I actually released this track, Upset, as part of the War Sampler, which was the first sampler for War in Peace, my album War in Peace, that just came out on my birthday a couple of weeks ago. And I'm glad I'm doing this one because this one was one of the most fun tracks for me to do, really and truly, because yeah, just how it all came together, and that it was the start of me really getting into like MIDI and using Vital and seeing what I could get out of Vital and how I can use it and all that kind of stuff. I'm making it sound like I've done some really like complex stuff, but you know, with me, as you already know, less is more. I don't end up putting that much not into it, but in terms of using that many tracks. As you can see, we've got 38 tracks. A few of them are muted, so it's probably less than 38 tracks altogether and stuff. But in terms of the overall vibe and idea, I love this, man. I love this track. So let's get a quick reminder.
And I got
Yeah, man. Buzz off this tune. Absolutely love this tune. And that. Yeah, another one of my personal favourites. And another one that was really simple to put together. It was more about the idea and just finding the right elements for it to work really and truly. If there's anything that I want you to take from these track breakdowns, it's just the fact that you really don't need to overthink it. You really, really don't. Or at least in my opinion, you don't. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, it's more about making good choices when you come into, do you know what I mean, the elements that you want to put in the tune, like your drums, like your basses. Think about like how you'll be able to either break them apart if it's a break. So what are the important elements of that break that you want to take out so you can rearrange them and make them into your own? When it comes to your basses, how can I break them apart if it's a patch or if it's an audio sample? Do you know what I mean? To be able to get the best out of them, add harmonics, add transients, and all that kind of good stuff. It's all about the choices that you make, and what can help that is having some sort of theme, having some sort of story that you want to tell. It doesn't necessarily even need to be the most extravagant story that you're trying to tell. It could just be, oh, I'm upset. What can symbolize me being upset when it comes to making these tunes? And that's all it literally was with this. Like, this came out in 2023, end of 2023, December. I'll be honest, at that point in time, I was still dealing with losing my mum, and at that point in time, it would have been the second Christmas that I'd had without my mum. Do you know what I mean? There was a lot of stuff that was going on around me where I'm realizing, like, oh, people aren't really who they are. People, I say people, but really it's just the people that are around me. But the people that were around me at that time, I didn't feel like they were genuine. I didn't feel like they cared. Do you know what I mean? I just had a falling out with, a record label because I felt like they didn't really know what to do with me. Do you know what I'm saying? After all the time that I'd put in, after all the years that I'd put in trying to like go by their instructions and this, that, and the third, there was a lot of things that I was upset about. And I just wanted to have that blowout. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, I can't in real life because, there's consequences and stuff like that. And that's why music is such a great thing. Music can be a release, a healthy release for you. Do you know what I mean? If you need that, if you've got pent up anger and this, that, and the third, music can be a beautiful release for that, and it can turn you around. It can make you see things in a completely different way when you listen back to, especially if it's lyrics. When you listen back to what you wrote and this, that, and the third. Music can always be a great refuge, release, whatever you need it to be, because it's yours for you to create. Whatever space you need it to be, you can create that for yourself, And sometimes that's all of a theme that you need to be able to carry a track through. So yeah, simply, I was upset. I really wanted to make a sub bass heavy, screechy tune. Do you know what I'm saying? You could say that I was trying to like follow the trend at the time. It's neither here nor there for me. At that point in time, I wanted to make something screechy. I wanted to make something crazy, and that, to symbolize me being in the space and the mood that I was in and shit. So instead of it started out with the intro, it started out with the drop. And it started out with the drums. So when it came to the drums, I just found a really, really nice break that I really liked. The break is called DF Metal Face Break 175 BPM. And that basically. And all I did was just take the kick and the snare from it. That's it. That's all I wanted to take from it. I thought the snare sounded amazing. It was unusual. I wanted it to feel like so you're getting hit over the head with a pan or something. Do you know what I'm saying? The kick, again, really unique and unusual. I never really hear breaks like this in drum and bass, even though this is a drum and bass break and stuff. So at least it's not something, a type of break that I'd come across, even though I'm big into Technical Itch, Raiden, Dylan, all those kind of people. Or maybe I have in a different style, but these kind of elements were there and stuff, but maybe a while ago, because now that I think back to Ice Minus and, do you know what I mean, producers like that were unique and trying something different. So when I found this break, yeah man, rolling with this one. But obviously, as a break on its own, it was sounded quite weak for what I wanted. And that, if I just check the actual processing that I'd done. So in terms of EQ, just a low cut shelf, a low pass shelf. Take most of the low end out. Let me switch that off so you can actually hear what it sounds like. So basically, what I wanted to do with that is I wanted to take most of the low end boom out of that, but keep the character of the boom there. So it's mainly the lower mids that I want to keep, and the actual lows, cut all of them out, shelve all of them out really. So most of the character is still there, but the impact from the lows are actually gone. Why? Because I want to get another kick and shape that kick. As you can see, I'm already using the transient shaper here just to shape, do you know what I mean, how loud that kick is. So hold on 1 second, let me unsolo that and take off the transient shaper, so again, so you can hear how boomy it is. Like, I want the sound of the boom, I want the character of the boom, but I don't want the weight of the boom, because I want to be able to shape the weight of it without taking too much away from everything else. So that's where transient shaper comes in and a bit of EQ, and then I layer up another kick with that, so then I've actually got the actual transients that I want from the kick. Very short transients. Hold on, let me just get the EQ up. So I want the pop from it. I've taken most of the low end out as well, so the sub can come through. I've taken most of the highs out of the kick as well. So that's all I want, just to fill that space, really. So I'll do that with kick. I'm not taking away from everything else that is in that break. All the little intricate percussion bits, I want them to stay, because I'm going to add, in terms of filling out that space in between, I'm going to add more elements. And then when it came to the snare, processing, Szechuan, which is also on the kick, always love a bit of Szechuan saturator. EQ, so I'm boosting the elements that I want. And that really, I should bring that in a bit. Do you know what I mean? Those extra rolls and reverse cymbals and stuff like that, I want to keep them in there, because again, they add to the character of the break. I'm just emphasizing certain bits and just taking out the rest out of the audio clips, audio chops that I don't need. Then when it comes to filling out the rest of the break, some nice simple hats. So I've got some overdrive on there just to give it a bit of a boost in volume. I've got duck on there, which is sidechain to the snare. Yep, sidechain to the snare. Just to make sure that the snare's coming through, and then a bit of reverb. And then for some extra percussion, got another layer with some bongos. All together, that's the drums. Halfway through, come with the bongos. And then just to fill it out, every 8 bars, 16 bars, basically, just get an amen break in there. And all I'm doing is just chopping up the break and repeating certain parts. So on the intro, just before the drop, I've got a 4-bar section there. I'm just chopping it up and repeating parts. Just vibesy. So on its own, I'm completely happy with this now. I've got the drums. I need to get the screech in there. So I'm going to Vital. Falling in love with Vital. Bought some preset packs from TC. Nothing wrong with going through them and then modifying the ones that you actually want to use. So I found a patch called Nan Bass Pang, Nan Bass Pang Nan, which is this. And if we bring up the actual synth itself. So all I've done, because I don't think this is the original patch, what I'll do, just double check. Oh, phone call. And it's coming through on there. What I'm going to have to do. I don't want to. Go on Do Not Disturb. I don't want to go on Do Not Disturb. There we go. Thank you. Yep. I'll call you back in a sec, Jamal. He's probably going to text me in a sec as well. But yeah. So I found this Nan Pang bass, and that there was more with this and that, but I've turned off oscillator 3 and the white noise from the sample. So and then if we've got the white noise, you know what I mean? So I've taken out those extra bits out, and that after messing about with the actual presets within here as well, because you can go through all of the wavetables and stuff like that. Got this to a point that I actually like. I don't mind the trail off as well, because I can just use that to my advantage, because I'm not going to be doing any sort of complex notes. I'm hoping I've not actually messed this up with that. There we go. So I think I've got this actually lower. There we go. So I'm like 2 octaves down. Yeah, 2 octaves down from, you know, the normal octave that it's supposed to be at. And that's where I've found that dual elements to this. And just leaving it to ring out, and then leaving the actual preset to play and having that ring out on the end. Wicked. Love that. Add my try and make the sound my own. So EQ is the main. I've got that bump in the middle there because that's the main part that I actually want. I'll turn the EQ off, and temper and filter on, so then you can hear what it sounds like on its own. So what I've done is I've EQ'd the mid bass out, so then I've got more the lows out, sorry, the sub and the lows out, so I've got more control over the mids. Added temper, so it's got more bite, and then filter on for the automation for when I need to do stuff. So that's why you hear in the intro it filtering down. And then also with the sub, I've got this going up, fading in rather than being automated. But I've got that as a sub. I've bounced that as a piece of audio rather than using MIDI. And that's it. That's it when it came to the actual mid bass. Later on, I add different sounds and samples and sections and that, just to keep it interesting. Like some like warping subs. I think, no, that's part of the actual sample itself. Boom. I think with this, oh, that was just a sick sound that I found. I thought, yep, add that. Infinity Raver. What have I done with this? No, just split it apart. So EQ, temper. And I've forgotten to actually done my fades on the end of the clips. I've done it on the lower one as well. So faded into the beginning. On the sub, I've EQ'd most of that out, so I'm just keeping the sub. Simple. Bit of Szechuan to give it a boost, bit of boost and body. On the tops, the mids on the bass, I've added temper as always, give it a bit of bite, some compression as well just to control it, and then some reverb, some extra reverb, just give it a bit of extra character and space, airiness. Boom, adding sections like that. Now this one, oh, even though it's called the Pang bass, I think it's a different patch, but I had to mess about with this. Look at all these plugins here. I had to mess about to get this deformed. Oh, that is cool. Oh, that is cool. But then when you bring it down lower, you go. It only goes down to a certain point and then it just stays. And then as you get to what is the normal, the 0 octave, that's what it sounds like. That's how it's supposed to be. But if you take it right down, it just turns into something else. Now, let me turn all of these plugins off on here so you can see what it sounds like without all the stuff that I've done. That's the patch on its own. So, gone in with some EQ. Switch that on. Take out some of the highs. Boost the frequencies that I actually want. Take out the lows and mids. Some of the lower mids. Got it there. Right, I want to give it some bite, so we add on some tempo. Okay, boom. That gives it some boost and volume as well. Then we get into some pitch shift. So I can bring it down. Brought it down 8 semitones, full mix. And that, then isotope trash. With the extra dirty bounce preset from utility. The utility folder. Probably taking off the convol, some of the dynamics, because I just want the trash. That's all I want. Okay, so boom, we've got that. I want to make this mono, so we put on some bass lane. Take out the width, as you can see there. Gives it more bite. If I'd known that M and S stand for mono and stereo, boom, mono. So it's more in the middle, but for now we'll just go back to stereo out, and we've taken away some of the width that was there. Then probably EQ again, just to shape it again. Some compression, control it, and then studio effect compression, and then duck. I think we're side chaining it with the snare. Yeah. And that's how we've got to that stage. So a fair bit of processing just for that little section. Just for that little section. But yeah, man. And then making sure that the sub goes along with it as well. Oi. So from there, you can tell I brought it right down in the octaves. And then I'm just using the sub to be able to like follow the actual rhythm of do you know what I mean? And that when it came to the sub itself as well, let me show you what I did with the sub. So the sub, it's the same nan bass, taking out the other oscillator and then added white noise. So you've got that fizz, basically. Taking a lot of the actual like macros and macros that were going on, and that made it really simple. Because that's all I want. I just want the sub and the fizz. And you know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this as daily fizz sub, so I know I can always come back to it. Get rid of that. Members Club Bosch. So I've always got that there, basically. Boom. You know what I'm saying? In terms of processing for this fizz sub, as always, Szechuan. Give it a bit of body. Bass lane, take out the width. And again, mono it. You know what I'm saying? Magma, give it some more saturation. Duck for side chaining with the kick. And then EQ on the end, take out some of the highs. So let me show you what it sounds like without all of that. But then with all of that, more body, more weight. Nice. That's what we like. And that's it. Again, finding different samples that you can use to keep it sounding interesting. Breaks every 8 bars, 16 bars if you want. All I did with here was just brought it down an octave, but because it would have changed the volume and some of the texture and character, I've just done it on its own track and that. And yeah, boosted the volume with it so everything sounds balanced and level. And we're good, man. And to bring in my Wade In bass sample, my bass from Wade In. And again, all I'm doing with the sub is just making sure that the sub is following on. Really, really simple. Take it in terms of EQ, use temper. And I know originally I wouldn't have bounced down that bass with any sub in it anyway. So all I'm doing is just adding a bit more bite and then some compression to control it. Everything good, everything nice. And then we've got another patch here and that just to change up the vibes. So what patch is this? This is from someone else, not even TC. BS Primal Hunger. Hold on, bring it up. Again, temper, just to give it more bite. Bee sting preset. That's it. That's it. EQ, so we're taking out some of the low end. Yep, taking out some of the low end. Emphasizing the bits that we want. Take out a bit of the high so that it's not interfering with the percussion and the hi-hats. Boom. Done. Boom. Sorted, man. At this point, I'm like, oi, I am happy. I am so happy. Let's get the intro sorted. And at the time, I think at the time I had my well, not mine, but I was using the Hydrosynth. I think, yeah, this is definitely something that I recorded. Yeah, definitely something that I got recorded in from the Hydrosynth. Because the main thing for me was, and I'm terrible that I've not actually like made sure. Terrible. Catching those clips at the end. Always clip your audio. If you're doing any chops, always clip your audio at the end, man, so you don't get those clips, those pops coming through. Smoke break. Well, boom. That's it. And I'm making sure I played this in on the Hydrasynth, and all I'm making sure is that when I drop everything else out, it sounds good with the tune and stuff, because I'll always have a section towards the end, towards the breakdown, where I drop everything out and elements of the intro, melodies from the intro go along with the sub. So when it gets to this section, those two sections are in key. So when I'm making the intro and I'm finding what I'm trying to play, whatever it is along with the sub, that's what I'm thinking about. When I bring this part for that's going to be the intro back in, it's going to be in key with the sub and stuff. I've no idea, really and truly, what is this. So this is past C0. So C, B, I think it's B sharp, low B sharp. But I could be wrong, because it depends on what the actual root key is set as in the actual synth. So I'm not going to hold that as gospel. But I managed to play something along with it. Do you know what I mean? Make sure it's in key and stuff. I've got the original break here that I'm using to automate, and that with the Filtron plugin. So this is the Filtron filter plugin and stuff. See that bringing it down. And then I add in this ambient lead as just an extra melody to go along with it. Bit of baby come back. Chorus, stop chorus, and then the pièce de résistance, another angry Jamaican sample. Take out the drums, sub, automation filling, sliding it in, amen break before the drop, airborne, and then absolutely love this tune, mate. Just vibes. And that's it. If I can sit here with my eyes closed and just vibe out and nothing is jumping out at me, obviously little bits of clipping and pops and stuff from audio samples are in there, but that's easy to get lost in the mix and the overall context of the tune. So make sure you're doing your cleanup. Do you know what I mean? Whilst you're mixing your tune and stuff like that. A lot of the processing and EQing I'm doing as I'm going along, because I know, right, I've got this sound. I know I don't need this in terms of the EQing frequency. I know I don't need that. Get rid of it straight away. Use a shelf and that, or if you like to just cut, it's up to you, but I prefer to use a shelf rather than using the straight cut and stuff. You know the basics of, you know, trying to shape your sound into the frequencies areas that they need to stay in, and then over time you can use things like side chaining and things like that just to duck those frequencies to let other things pop through and stuff. If you're not that, you know, clued up on, you know, what frequencies and areas of the frequency that you need to actually take out with EQ. That's the reason why I like using things like duck and stuff. But if you want to get more precise, then you can like make a bell in your EQ and just sweep those areas so you can hear, you know what I mean, where the snare would be coming through, or do it whilst everything's playing, and as you're sweeping the frequency, you'll hear the snare start to open up and come through a bit more. You can do things like that with EQ, but because I like to stay in the moment of creating the idea, the quicker I can just get things sorted, the better, really and truly. But again, didn't take much at all to put this together. Less is more. Do you know what I'm saying? Quick fun fact, this Angry Jamaican sample,
Pussy! And I got alone, I got dead enough. Somebody else on this side got dead to pussy. You go upset me and you go come flush out to the face for ya.
I did not know that Gray had used that same sample in Lick Shot featuring Deneo. I had no idea, because I'd never heard that tune before. I think it was Mickey T played it on his show. I was like, rah, this is a tune. Went to go and find it, buy it, realised it had come out like 2 years ago and stuff. I had no idea that he had already used that sample. But it's a great sample to use, because if you are to talk about being upset, my man's upset. My man sounds very, very upset right now, you know. So yeah, man, Upset, War and Peace, the War sampler, released, I think it was 23rd of December 2023, so nearly a year ago that this came out. One of the most fun tunes that I'd made. Again, didn't take long to put it together, but in terms of themes, in terms of the concept overall that I wanted to go for, yeah, man, does the job. Like I said, sometimes, or a lot of the time really, you don't need to overthink it. You really don't. You know, as long as all the elements are there, you make good choices in terms of the sounds that you want to use, and keeping in mind how you are going to use those sounds. So then how easy is it going to be able to split things apart, process this, that and the third. Having a bit of forethought in terms of how you are going to put things together will really help to just speed up the workflow. Do you know what I mean? And keep things feeling fun as you're going through it. And that really, really and truly. Yeah, man. Not to waffle on. Save myself waffling on. But yeah, really, really fun tune. Really, really fun tune to make. So yeah, man. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Next year, because this is going to be the last track breakdown for this year. Next year, each month, instead of track breakdowns, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do videos on making a tune from start to finish. I'm going to make a good point of going in depth into the choices that I make, the reasons why. Do you know what I mean? I'll pick certain sounds or samples and stuff like that. And I'm going to try and keep it down to an hour at maximum for each video each month. But I'm not going to spare like the little intricacies, the little details that are often forgotten about when it comes to making tunes, and what we think about and what leads us to make the decisions that we're making when it comes to the different sections, intros, building a drop, building a breakdown, building a second drop, whether or not it's worth it to build a second drop or not, because sometimes the first drop has got everything there that all it needs is repeating. Some people may see that as lazy, but sometimes that's all it needs. Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes because of all the work that you've done in there, it can lead you to make that decision of just copy and pasting or repeating, do you know what I mean, and just making little intricate differences. So then it's just not a full copy and paste, taking out sections and stuff like that, building outros, building atmospherics and ambience. What is ear candy? What can be used for ear candy? Do you know what I'm saying? All the different things, all the different sections, all the different parts, everything that goes into what I do to make a tune. Each month there's going to be a different section. Do you know what I'm saying? Going in depth into like building patches on synths, and then shaping those sounds within those patches. Every single video is going to be part of something that is being made completely from scratch each month. And then at the end of the year, we will have a fully built out tune. Do you know what I mean? And it won't be a simple one. I will go in depth in terms of why I'm layering up drums, building actual rhythms, building drums themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Every single part, each month, I'm going to cover those parts. I'm not going to spare any mistakes or anything like that. The only thing I'll be bearing in mind is just making sure that each of these videos is maximum an hour long, so that it's not too much. It's not too much to digest for people and stuff. So yeah, man, look out for that coming next year. And yeah, thank you. Just thank you, innit? It's been a year of doing this members club thing. You know what I'm saying? It's been eye-opening for me. It's been, a shock to the system at times. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, trying to get my head around, this is part of the business. This is something that people are paying for. Do you know what I'm saying? So to make sure that the quality is good and everything is articulated well, and, everyone understands, what it is that I'm doing and what it is that I'm trying to do. The fact that people have stuck with me for the whole year, for this first year, is amazing. And I'm probably going to do another video just thanking everyone before the year goes out. But I just want to say now, you know what I'm saying? Thank you. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Seriously. Yeah. Look after yourselves, look after your health, look after your mental health, because you don't know good mental health is wealth. Forward ever, backward never. And as always, blessings to you all.